What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on EI Entertainment Studios, back at it with another debate video. Today's debate video, we're going to be talking about Mechagodzilla 2021 versus Snow Godzilla. So here's the plan, folks. We're going to put these two giant creatures up against each other, and before we go into deep detail of a actual battle, we're going to analyze them through the characteristics, abilities, backstories for both of these creatures. So without further ado, let's begin with Mechagodzilla 2021. So Mechagodzilla was created by Apex Cybernetics and powered through King Ghidorah's cut-off head. However, King Ghidorah's consciousness takes over the robot and completely controls it. You could say super mind control, right? Now, we're going to do a quick skim of the abilities. We're going to come back and do a deep analysis, so do not worry. But for now, just a quick skim, and it goes as follows. Buzzsaw claws, heavy metal durability, missiles, Proton Scream, thrusters, and the tail drill. Now, following from that, we have Territorial level, which is none, aggression is maximum, Biome is Earth, and the height is approximately 119.8 meters tall for Mecha G. Okay, let's go back to the abilities and let's do a deep analysis. The first thing we have is the Buzzsaw claws, and this is very important because it's a great defensive technique. As I said, it's very similar to Gigan. It's just kind of comparison to kind of put a right image in your mind. That saw that Gigan has on the chest, very similar to what Mecha G has here. It's just on the claws, or you could say near the hands, and he can use that to just fend off opponents, and depending on the size of the opponent, he can potentially kill an opponent too, right? Just get that saw and just rip it into the flesh of the opponent. So, depends on the size of the opponent. It's not always a deadly ability to use. It could be used as defensive or offensive technique, but it is a very effective ability nonetheless. Next we have heavy metal durability, and this is just purely a defensive technique. It's just his material, and he's a very durable robot, meaning he can take a lot of damage and not get really phased from it. Eventually, obviously, we saw that in Godzilla vs. Kong, it needed two giant, fully grown monsters to take down Mechagodzilla. So that kind of shows how durable his make is. Now, continuing from that, we have the Proton Scream, which is simply, to put it into more basic terms, it's a very powerful atomic breath. An atomic breath that's derived from Godzilla, but way more powerful, way more focused, and way more hot. Meaning, it's more hot, it's more focused, it's going to do more damage. Obviously, it's way more powerful than Godzilla's atomic breath, as we see that when Godzilla uses atomic breath in the film against Mechagodzilla's Proton Scream, the Proton Scream absolutely overpowered it, and it is red in color. Next, we have the thrusters. It's like a kind of like a small rocket blast, and he can thrust from left to right. He can use that to ram into his opponents or jump and hit his opponents, punch, kick. Great ability. Specifically, it's more of an offensive ability, just to kind of put into that category. And then finally, we have the tail drill. And it's at the tip of the tail. It's a massive drill that could just drill into the heads of the opponents or wherever he wishes to drill into the opponent's flesh. Alright, folks, that is going to finish Mechagodzilla. Now let's move on to Snow Godzilla and see what's up with this creature. Okay. So, when it comes to Snow Godzilla, he is a creature that lives in a different dimension, and when Konbu Tunnel had released a large amount of glowing particles, that basically created a chain reaction and sent Snow Godzilla to the location of where the film took place. That's kind of like an origin, how the creature of Snow Godzilla took place, through a chain reaction of these glowing particles. And that explains some of his abilities, which we're going to go in right now. Quick skim, obviously, first. Massive amounts of strength, atomic breath, regeneration, and teleportation is the main ones that I'm going to use for this debate. Territorial level is medium, aggression is maximum. Biome, he can basically survive in different dimensions, which makes him very, very powerful. And his height is 118.5 meters tall, which is very similar to Mechagodzilla, so it's going to be a very fair fight. Now, going back to the abilities, to deep analysis, massive amounts of strength. Of course, we're going to go over that one first. That is an incredible, really, ability, because having massive amounts of strength, especially against an opponent like Mechagodzilla, where he's a just pure heavy metal monster, is where it's needed to just rip, metal parts apart. And so the massive amounts of strength come from his build. He's very plump, muscular Godzilla. He's really big, and so he's very good in punching, tail whip, kicking, and just there's like a lot of force in what he does, and that's where the massive amounts of strength come from. Now, his atomic breath also is a very powerful atomic breath. Definitely, it's not the most powerful atomic breath in all the Godzillas combined, but it definitely is up there. It's as well nowhere near the Proton Scream, but again, it is your general atomic breath, which is going to obviously serve a purpose if it's hit and used in the right way. And then we have Regeneration. Yes, he can regenerate his health at pretty quick levels, which is really good when it comes to getting hit, like let's say a fatal attack near the heart, near the hand. The regeneration will kick in and he can basically bring his health back up. And finally, he can use Teleportation to move from here to there in a matter of seconds through the chain reaction of the glowing particles. Alright, that again now is going to sum up Snow Godzilla. We finished both of these two giant kaijus. Let's put them up against each other in a death battle. Now here's the plan, folks. We're going to do close range and far range. Now why do I do this? Far range is going to limit some of their abilities, and we're going to test them and see what they can or cannot use when it comes to far range, and it's going to be a very limited capacity. So we're going to see if an opponent can win a battle when some of their abilities, or even their opponent's abilities, are limited or more than theirs, and can they win? It's a great way of testing an opponent out. And then close range is just all-out war. So we're going to go with far range first. Now here are the rules. They must be 700 meters apart, meaning there is absolutely no physical contact allowed. Any ability that needs physical contact will be thrown out the door for this specific part of the debate. So, as I said, 700 meters apart and absolutely no physical contact. Let's go ahead and see what abilities Snow Godzilla can or cannot use in terms of far range. Massive amounts of strength is a personal defensive ability, so that doesn't really matter, so we're gonna skip that, sure, whatever. Atomic Breath is made to go far distances, so Atomic Breath is a very good one. Regeneration, obviously defensive, so can be used. Teleportation, however, can be used in the context of going around Mechagodzilla, but never teleporting right next to him to physically hurt the creature, because remember, we are restricting them, so anywhere if it's 700 meters apart can be done. Perfect. Now let's move on to Mechagodzilla 2021, or we can just call him Legendary Mechagodzilla. Doesn't matter, same creature. Now let's go over the abilities and see what he can or cannot use in terms of far range. Buzzsaw claws, obviously they're claws, they're buzzsaw claws, buzz, you know? So they're meant to hit the opponent, and that's physical contact, so that's absolutely not going to fly, and that's going to be restricted, so he can't use that. Heavy metal durability is more of a kind of defensive ability, so again, that's okay. Missiles are meant to go, right? He can use missiles. The Proton Scream, he can use that. Thrusters, well, you know, you could say he could thrust from left to right to avoid the atomic breath, but I did kind of say that we're gonna think of that as an offensive ability, so we're just gonna say no to that, and we're gonna say obviously no to the tail drill. The tail drill is meant to drill into the opponent, so basically all he can really use is the Proton Scream, which makes it a very, well, he can use the missiles too, but the missiles are very low. They're not really gonna do anything, but obviously he can use it. So missiles and Proton Scream. And so this battle is going to be very similar. Both of these kaijus can basically use something that's just coming out of them and not something more deadlier. So in the battle, I personally believe that Mechagodzilla is going to be the first one to attack because he is being controlled by King Ghidorah. It's going to be a little bit more aggression on this side, so he's going to be the one to attack first, and obviously going to use the Proton Scream. Now, the Proton Scream on Snow Godzilla is definitely going to do a lot of damage. As I said, it's very, very powerful, even more powerful than in the film, as we saw, more powerful than Legendary Godzilla, for example. So when putting it up against Snow Godzilla, it's just going to fly it out of the park. And so he is going to take a lot of damage from the Proton Scream. Obviously, the only thing he could really use in terms of far range, as in I'm speaking for Snow Godzilla at this point, is the Atomic Breath. And the Atomic Breath obviously is going to use some energy for him to kind of use that Atomic Breath, but also going to do quite a bit of damage, obviously, to Mechagodzilla, but nothing where he's going to be in a fatality state. And so easily he can evade that, right? Mechagodzilla is a robot, he is quick, even though we're not letting him use the thrusters, he can quickly evade that. And the missiles, this is where the missiles come in. The missiles are these small missiles that don't really do anything to damage the opponent, but they're really there to confuse the opponent, distract the opponent, right? Just hit you in the face and they're just like, well, what just happened, right? So the missiles can be used by Mecha G, and then as Snow Godzilla is distracted, the Proton Scream will be taking place, headshots all over the place, and that's basically going to sum up the far range. Mecha Godzilla is definitely going to win in far range because of the Proton Scream being more powerful, and he's going to kill Snow Godzilla. So therefore, we're going to give 1-0 to Mechagodzilla 2021 in terms of far range. But let's go to close range now, where it's a completely different ball game. Now let's take this into consideration, the height of these two creatures. Now, Mechagodzilla stands at 119.8 meters tall, almost 120 meters tall, which is a very high size. Snow Godzilla is 118.5 meters tall, so very, very, very close to each other. Almost no deviation between the two, right? Very small deviation. So, with that being said, physically, we know that Snow Godzilla has massive amounts of strength. Although he is flesh, Mechagodzilla is pure metal. So even though, you know, all the strength is coming, you just really can't beat when it comes to steel and flesh. So these two creatures are going to smash into each other when they're fighting, and Mechagodzilla is going to overpower Snow Godzilla and just smash him to the ground, right? He is pure metal. And from that being said, he has a very strong punch. So once he gets Snow Godzilla on the ground, these punches are basically ground and pound. And they are going to smash in the face of Snow Godzilla. With that being said, the Buzzsaw claws is right there with the tail drill just drilling into the flesh and just ripping all the body parts off of Snow Godzilla. Obviously, Snow Godzilla can defend himself with the tail, and he can easily tail whip Mechagodzilla off of him, but obviously at this point he's going to have a lot of damage done to him. And so with that being said, going face to face, the Atomic Breath with the Teleportation is going to have a lot of suit to him. Going from left to right, just going from place to place, using dimensions at his disposal is really going to throw Mechagodzilla off. But whenever they come close for a physical combat, remember, Mechagodzilla can use thrusters, so he can quickly thrust himself to Snow Godzilla, just kind of smash into him. With that being said, every time a physical contact comes in, which is going to be very likely, Mechagodzilla is going to overpower him. Eventually, he is going to kill Snow Godzilla. With that being said, we're going to give Mechagodzilla 2-0 a win. Now, obviously, this is just my opinion. You can debate me in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great and wonderful day.